Hare Krishna. So we're reading from Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Madhya Lila, chapter 6, verse number 163, chapter entitled The Liberation of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Please repeat after me the verse, which is there. Okay. Gita Shastra Jiva Rupa Shakti Karimane Hena Jive Bhedakara Ishware Rasane Gita Shastra Jiva Rupa Shakti Karimane Hena Jive Bhedakara Ishware Rasane Gita Shastra Jiva Rupa Shakti Karimane Hena Jiva Bhedakara Ishware Rasane. Ishware Rasane. Vaishnavis Matajis. Someone else? Thank you. Word by word synonyms, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness and our preeminent Shiksha Guru. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki Gita Shastre, in the Bhagavad Gita, Jiva Rupa, the identity of the living entity, Shakti, potency, Kari, making, Mane, accepts. It's not Mane. Everybody kept saying Mane. It's Mane. Accepts. Hena, such. Jive, living entity. Bheda, different. Kara, you make. Ishwarera, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sane, with. Translation, please repeat after me. In the Bhagavad Gita, the living entity is established as the marginal potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yet you say that the living entity is completely different from the Lord. Purport. The Brahma Sutra states that according to the principles of Shakti, Shakti Madhora Bhedaha, the living entity is simultaneously one with and different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Qualitatively, the living entity and the Supreme Lord are one, but in quantity they are different. According to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy of Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva, the living entity and the Supreme Lord are accepted as one and different at the same time. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So as you all know, we are dealing with the liberation of Sri Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So I seek the blessings of holy assembled Vaishnavas that I may present some truths from the scripture as per the desire and purports of the Acharyas for your pleasure and for my purification. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Prabhupada Bhaktavrinda ki, Sri Brahma Madhya Gaudiya Guru Shishya Parampara ki, Yaya Shrutir Jalpati Nirvishesham Sasa Vidatte Savisheshameva Vijara Yoge Satihantata Sam Prayo Baliya Savisheshameva. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells Sri Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya the following point, that whatever Vedic mantras describe the absolute truth impersonally, sometimes the absolute truth is explained impersonally. Whatever Vedic mantras describe the absolute truth impersonally, they only prove in the end that the absolute truth is a person. There is a book by Srila Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj called The Absolute Truth is a Person, or God is a Person. It's important to understand. Generally, it is understood that the Supreme Truth has two features, both personal and impersonal. He is understood to be in these two features. But if one considers the Supreme Personality of Godhead in both the features, he can actually understand the absolute truth. Only then can one understand the absolute truth. He knows, a person who understands the absolute truth in these two features, he is able to understand that the personal understanding is stronger. Why? Because everything we see around us is full of variety. There is a lot of variety in the world. Keshava tuva jagata vichitra. This whole world is full of variety. And therefore, in general, no one can say anything that is not full of variety. That is why we say, Yadavati mama cheta Krishna padara vinte nava nava rasada manuddhate rantumasit. Krishna consciousness has so much variety. It's not practical for someone to see everything in a complete monotone. Suppose I deliver a lecture in the morning and say, Hare Krishna, it is very nice to see all of you. For the last 5 minutes, we have been discussing this absolute truth. For the next 25 minutes, you will have to tolerate listening to me. Thank you very much for the blissful, ecstatic response that you have to my lecture. Monotone. Mono means one. And Advaita means that which is non-dual, that which is not two. Exclusive non-dualism. It is called Kevala Advaita of Shankara. Madhya and the Vaishnava Acharyas completely refuted this. Not just refuted, they smashed it. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu borrowed, or let's just say extracted, there's no question of borrowing because everything belongs to him. He extracted two specific teachings or tattvas from each of the four sampradayas. So from the sampradaya of Ramanuja, which is Sri Sampradaya, he borrowed Ananya Bhakti and Bhakta Jana Seva, which means completely unalloyed devotion service and serving the Vaishnavas. So if you see any Sri Vaishnava, generally the serious ones, they say Adiyan Ramanuja Dasan. I am servant of Ramanuja. Like Bhakti Siddhanta Prabhupada used to say, Dasosmi. This is from the Sri Sampradaya. From the Madhva Sampradaya of Brahmaji, Sri Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya is what we are called. There are two important points that were extracted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One of them was Kevala Advaita Nirasana, which means the unequivocal denying or condemnation of non-dualism, which means people think everything is one. And Madhya said, no, everything is two. There is two. So that is dualism. That is exclusive dualism. Shuddha Dvaita. The first one was Kevala Advaita Nirasana, which means a complete unequivocal condemnation of exclusive non-dualism. And the second one is Sri Vigraha Seva, which means worshipping the deity form of the Lord. So these are the two elements that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu extracted from Madhva Sampradaya. Similarly, there are other elements that are borrowed from Shuddha Dvaita of Rudra Sampradaya of Vishnu Swami and Dvaita Dvaita of Nimbarkacharya's Sampradaya. So, which is the Kumara Sampradaya. We will get into the details of this some other day. As of now, we just want to focus on this element that Yo Hareshcheva Jivanam Bheda Vakta Hare Priyaha. That person is dear to the Supreme Lord who exclusively mentions that the Jiva and Ishvara are different. That person is dear to Hari. I mean, imagine somebody comes and tells you that, Devesh, you don't exist. Actually, you exist, but you and I are the same. Doesn't look very exciting. Oh, I don't have an existence. Even if I have an existence, it is as you. And both of us are the same. And on top of that, we are telling the Supreme Lord, who is the source of everything, that there is only one. You are that, but I am also that. So somewhere it hits hard, which is why Jivera Nistere Lage Sutra Kala Vyas Mayavadi Bhashya Shunilo Hoy Sarvanash. So Vyasdev compiled the Vedanta Sutra. In that, he explains several truths. This is meant for the deliverance of the living entity, just like the deliverance of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. But Mayavadi Bhashya of this Vedanta Sutra or Brahma Sutra will lead to complete damnation. And it is mentioned in the Vedanta Sutra, chapter 2, Pada 1, in the 14th Sutra, that tadanyatvam arambhana shabdhadibhyaha, which means the material world is not different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is confirmed by the passage beginning with the word arambhana. So, idam hi vishwam bhagavani vetaraha. In one sense, they are one and the same. But at the same time, the Vedanta Sutra, in the very third pada of the same chapter, explains Pado Sarva Bhutani is taken from the Rig Veda. This is from the Rig Veda, which says that all the living entities are part and parcel of Krishna, which is the shloka that is going to be described in the next two verses in 164 and 165. I think we can just continue those shlokas because it's just shlokas, there are no purport. They are from the Gita. 164 is, you can say after me, Bhumirapo nalo vayuhu Khammano buddhirevacha Ahankara iti yamme Bhinna prakriti rashtadha. Repeat after me. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego are my eightfold separated energies. Who's saying this? Are they your separated energies? Krishna is saying they are my separated energies. He doesn't say it is our separated energies. He says right in the beginning of second chapter that Natvam Natvevaham Jatunasam Natvam Neme Janadipa. He could have said there was never a time when all of us were not there. He says there was never a time when I was not there, you were not there, these kings were not there. What does that mean? It means you are establishing the plurality of the jiva, Prabhupada says. Each jiva is individual. We may be part and parcel of Krishna, but we are also individuals. We are individual spirit souls. And in the very next verse, the Lord explains here from Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 7, verse number 5. Apareyam itastvanyam prakritim vidhi me param jiva bhutam mahabaho yayedam dharyate jagat. So Krishna says that besides this, repeat after me, besides these inferior energies which are material, which one? The ones we talked about, that is Bhumi, Rapa and Alovaya, they are material energies. There is another energy, a spiritual energy, and this is the living being. O mighty armed one, the entire material world is sustained by the living entities. So, Krishna very clear, Jai Shri Radha Partha Sarati Lalita Vishakha ki Jai, Sri Sita Ram Lakshmana Hanuman ki Jai, Sri Sri Gauranitai ki Jai. So while in one place the Bhagavad Gita is established as the Jiva is established as the marginal potency of the Supreme Lord. Shakti Shaktimator Abhedaha, at the absolute level or at the infinite level, Krishna's Shaktis are non-different from Krishna who is the Shaktiman. Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate nacha samastya padikasya drishyate parasya shaktir vivideva shruyate swabhavaki jnana balai kriyecha. There is no activity that is to be done by the Supreme Lord. Natasya karyam, nothing that he cannot do. Nacha samastya padikasya drishyate, nobody can equal him nor surpass him. Parasya shaktir vivideva shruyate, he acts through his energies. Swabhavaki jnana balai kriyecha. So it is symbolized by his character, his activities, his attributes, and his potencies. So the Brahma Sutra clearly states this, Shakti Shakti Matam Abhedaha, in the Dashamula Tattva of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He talks about the Amnaya Sutra, which is also mentioned in the Jaiva Dharma, which says Amnaya Praha Hariha Paramam, God is supreme, Hari, Krishna is supreme. Sarva Shaktim Rasabdim, he is full of potencies. Rasabdim, he is the source of all rasas. Tad Bhinnam Sham Sattva Bhavan, all entities are parcels of the Supreme Lord, separated part and parcels. Bhinnam Sham Sattva Bhavan, what are these types? Prakriti Suvalitan, those who are Nitya Baddha. Tad Vimuktasya Bhavan, also eternally liberated. Nitya Mukta. So Nitya Mukta, Nitya Mukta. Bheda Bheda Prakasham Sakalam Api Hare, everything is simultaneously separated part and parcels. Jibera Swarupa Hoy, Krishner Nityadas, Krishner Tatastha Shakti Bheda Bhed Prakash. We are marginal potencies of Krishna, but separated, and we are simultaneously one with Krishna qualitatively. Just like a green bird on a green tree does not become the tree, it merely remains green. So which means qualitatively we are one with Krishna, quantitatively we can never be the same as Krishna. This water from, when taken from this glass, is also water. This water from its source, which could be sea, river, lake, or anything else, is also water. But quantitatively, are they the same? Yes or no? No. Srimad Madhvacharya was asked to demonstrate it. If this is the case, how do we know this separation? Because Akashat Patitam Toyam Sagaram Pradigachati, this is the famous Mayavad understanding that all the rivers flow into the sea, they become one. So Srila Prabhupada talks in his purports, if all the water flows into the ocean and they become one, what happens to the aquatics? Where did they come from? So there is variety. And Srimad Madhvacharya demonstrated, he asked somebody to bring one glass of water and a bigger glass of less water. So he poured water from this glass into another glass. So the quantity increased. They mixed, yes or no? They mixed? Yes. But has the quantity increased? Or how did the quantity increase? If they are mixed, then how can the quantity increase? Therefore, Bheda Bheda Prakasham, everything is simultaneously one and different from the Supreme Lord. We are qualitatively one with the Lord. Just like the green bird on a green tree is green, but it is not the tree. This is the example given by our acharyas. Bheda Bheda Prakasham, Sakalam Apihare. So it is mentioned here, Satatvato Anyatha Buddhir Vikara iti udhiritaha, Atatvato Anyatha Buddhir Vivarta iti udahritaha. In the Vedanta Sara, written by Sadananda Yogendra, he is a Sri Vaishnava scholar, he writes that when we think that a different object, one object takes another form, it becomes a different object. This is called parinama. For example, what is an example of parinama? Milk becomes yogurt or curd. That is parinama. They are different objects. So this is called parinama. But atatvato anyata buddhir vivarta iti udahritaha. The perception of a different object when there is actually no different object. The example famously given is that of the rope and the snake. You confuse the rope to be the snake. But at the same time, you cannot, or they say the shell to be silver, seashell to be silver. These are standard examples. But it does not mean that the rope is also there and the snake is also there. You are getting confused. It also does not mean there is no such thing as a snake just because you are getting it confused to be a snake and it is not a snake. So our Vaishnava Acharyas explain, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains in Dashamula Tattva, that to say that parinama doesn't exist in this world means Vyasadeva is wrong. There is parinama. There is conversion of one object into another. Just because Brahman cannot change does not mean Brahman's energies cannot change. Brahman acts through his energies. Krishna acts through his energies. Prabhupada gives an example of 2 plus 2, 1 plus 1 equal to 2, 1 minus 1 equal to 1 plus 1 equal to 2. They say, but still the philosophy is Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate. 1 plus 1 is also equal to 1, 1 minus 1 is also equal to 1. That 1 is the supreme absolute truth. You tear a few pieces of paper and throw it away. Prabhupada says you cannot piece them together. They will not become one. This is a material understanding. Therefore, just because Krishna's energies are transforming into another form doesn't mean Krishna is changing into another form. Krishna wants, he can also. But at the same time, Parinama and Vivarta have to be both accepted in that sense. Krishna's energy is transformed. Krishna himself doesn't transform. When this world becomes a created form of Krishna, idam hi vishwam bhagavan ivetaraha parasya brahmana shaktis tathaivam akilam jagat. It is Krishna's own energy. The Vedas and the Upanishads say patim vishwasya, this is sarvam vishnumayam jagat. Narayanam mahajneyam vishwatmanam parayanam Narayana paro jyotiratma Narayana paraha Narayana para brahma Tattvam Narayana paraha Narayana paro dhyata Dhyanam Narayana paraha. Everything is in one sense Krishna. This mic has Krishna, but the mic is not Krishna. Mic has Krishna, but mic is not Krishna. But for someone who understands that Krishna's presence is everywhere, Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe, this mic can also be Krishna. But it has to be at that level of consciousness. when we understand that Krishna's energies are getting converted, that is the parinama. The vivarta is to think that this could be something else. So to think that parinama doesn't happen in the material world means that Vyasadeva is wrong. This is what Acharyas say. Now let me say something for you from the this is from the Tattva Sandarbha by Jiva Goswami. Here he says that since the Puranas are accepted as the Vedas by Shruti itself, with Aresya Mahato Bhodasya, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, Aresya Mahato Bhoyasya, which means Bhagavatam will be examined to determine the highest good. Tattva Sandarbha establishes the unequivocal supremacy of Bhagavatam. People may say, this is Smriti. That is not true. The Vedanta Sutra has sufficient sutras which explain how Smritis have to be followed. Very, very simple sutras. So, the topmost of its Srimad Bhagavatam Pramana Mamalam is what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. The topmost Pramana is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, in his own words, is Srimad Bhagavatam. And the Vedas, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is confirming that Puranas are accepted as Vedas. It's very clear. Shruti itself is saying that Bhagavatam will be examined to examine the topmost good. Vedyam vastavam atra vastu shivadam tapatrayon moolanam. Absolute truth is illusion distinguished from reality for the ultimate good of mankind. This is what Srila Prabhupada translates this. Vedyam vastavam atra vastu shivadam. Shiva means auspicious. Shava means inauspicious. The word that is used is, yesterday I was just delivering a lecture at Dwarka about Daksha and Sati. That the word used to describe Daksha is anatmyam. He behaved as if he is a dead body. There is no soul. How? Because he was not even compassionate to his daughter. She is Atmaja. He was not compassionate even to her. And that is like Shavam. And Shivam is the one he offended. So if you offend Shivam, that which is auspicious, you are no different from Anatmyam, which is Shavam. And that is what happens. Jai Sri Lakshmi Narasimha Sri Prahlad Maharaj ki Jai. So it is important to understand that Prana Ashajar Shehetu Prachar. If we have life, if we have Atmyam, then we will distribute the message which is the ultimate good, which is Srimad Bhagavatam, which is discussed from Tattva Sandarbha, how the Bhagavatam has been examined and proved to be the topmost good for everyone. And the Bhagavatam says, Etej amshagalopamso Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. This is the Paribhasha Sutra of Bhagavatam. The moment you accept Bhagavatam, you will have to accept the fact that God is a person. If you accept Bhagavatam and then say, we are also God, that means there is something wrong. Then there is Bhagavadham. You're killing. Bhaga is opulence of the Lord. You are killing the opulence of the Lord. You are just not understanding this fact that the Granthavatara of the Supreme Lord, which is what is mentioned, Puranarka Adunoditaha, that examines and establishes the fact that the absolute truth is illusion distinguished from reality for the ultimate good of the living entity. For the Jiva, he should know the difference between illusion and reality. And that is established by Shastra. Because the child, when he comes in to the material world, he has no clue. Who is my father? Who is this uncle? Who is this? Who is that? The mother shows the hand, beta, that's your mother. Or that's your father, sorry. That's your father. And that is Shastra. That is why the Vedanta Sutra says, Shastra Yonitvat. It is originally coming in from the scripture. Shastra indicates that this is Pita, this is Father. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. The established fact is Krishna is the causeless cause of all causes. Because people sometimes may ask a very over smart question. If God is the father of everyone, who is the father of God? It's just a self-defeating question. If God is the father of all, means he doesn't have any other father. He chooses a father. When he came as Narasimha, he had enough. He just, what is this? Sometimes I come as Matsya, I come from somebody's nose, I come from a pillar. I don't have parents. So I want parents. Therefore, he chose to come as Vamana in the next birth, son of Kashyapa and Aditi. So the absolute truth is a person. He chooses the persons who will be his parents. It is not that there is somebody who is before God, they give birth to God and then God overtakes them or he eats them up. There are some philosophies in Europe where it says that initially there was a chaos, then there was eternal time, he was swallowed by his son, and then he became God. I'm not even getting into which philosophy. So, our Vedanta is so prosperous when it presents the absolute truth. There is no dearth of any kind of alankaras, there is no dearth of straightforward logic also. Alankaras means you can do some kind of exaggeration, hyperbole, to create some story out of something. No, but the word Brahman itself means Brahato Yasmin Brahma. That which is great is Brahman. Our Vedanta establishes that. And here it is mentioned by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya that in the Bhagavad Gita it is shown that we are separated part and parcels. Tad bhinnam sham sattva bhavat. Same thing. We are separated parts. Prabhupada talks in the purport about Swa Amsha and Vibhinna Amsha. Swa Amsha means Krishna's own Vishnu Tattva, his incarnations, his kalas, his Amshas. But his Amshas are also Vibhinna Amsha. Tad bhinnam sham samtad bhavan. The Vibhinna Amsha is the living entities. The Upanishads talk about Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bahunam O Vidadadi Kaman Sa Atma Yena Pashyanti Tesham Shanti Shashvatidnotaresham. The one desired to enjoy, therefore he became many. And that one maintains the many. One who understands this absolute truth is peaceful, not the others. When we understand that Krishna is a maintainer, we surrender to him. That is Goptrute Varanam. He is a maintainer. What does it say in Hindi? Palanhara. That's what he is. Palanhar, is it? Okay. Har is har mein hamari jeet hai. So Palanhar. Okay, Palanhar. So Palanhar is what he is. And that is because he is a maintainer. And how is that maintainer? When we understand that he is the one who maintains us and surrender to him. Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Guru Maharaj says that the enthusiasm to become successful in book distribution comes from purity. And purity comes from attentive chanting. Therefore, the more one chants, the purer one becomes. Then one comes to the understanding that there is a difference between illusion and reality. Srila Prabhupada says when you study Shastra, you know the difference between matter and spirit. Otherwise we don't understand. We think the body is me, all I am. Yasya atma buddhi kuna petri dhatuke. Kapavada pit, this body made of Kapavada Pitta is what I am. We confuse ourselves. But when we study Shastra, when Krishna is saying Bhumirapa Nalovaya, there are separated energies. Your marginal potency. And he says, Mamekam Sharanam Raja, you don't take shelter of yourself. That looks very illogical, doesn't it? There is a book called Ishta Siddhi, Vimuktatman. There's a Mayavadi. So he was teaching Purna Prajnatirtha. Who is Purna Prajnatirtha? He is also called Vasudeva. Who is that? Madhvacharya. So he was teaching him. Later on, when he became Mathadish, he was called Ananda-tirtha. That's how it happened. And he wrote as Madhva Muni. So when he was being taught by his senior, he told in this book, Ishta Siddhi by Vimuktatman, he starts the book by saying, I offer my obeisances to that supreme absolute truth which is me. So Madhva said, since both of us are the absolute truth, why should I listen to you? You listen to me. They say for 1 week they didn't speak to each other. So this we must understand, that this is extreme illusion. It is the last snare of Maya, Srila Prabhupada says, to think that you are God. What is a standard example we give in our DYS courses? We are not GODS. We are GOD apostrophe S. We are not gods, we are gods. हम भगवान नहीं हैं, भगवान के हैं. We belong to God, we are not God. We will not be God anytime. We will belong to God at some time. And that will be a long time. Intensity of accepting the teachings of the spiritual master determines how we accept Krishna consciousness in our heart. Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Guru Maharaj says, how intensely do we accept the medicine? The medicine is given by many gurus, many doctors, and the medicine is the same. The dosage may be different for each person, but depending on how intensely and how seriously a patient who is a disciple accepts that medicine will determine his advancement in Krishna consciousness. So by Shastra, we know the difference between matter and spirit. Krishna consciousness, according to Srila Prabhupada in Science of Self-Realization, is to know the difference between dead body and live body. That is Krishna consciousness. Or to think what is actually live is dead, and to think what is dead is actually live is complete illusion. We think that because we can't see the spirit, it doesn't exist. And therefore, when Nalakuvar and Manigriva, which is coming at the end of Kartik, on the hind of Kartik, they say, Drishtis satam darshanestu bhavattanonam. May our eyes forever view this world which is nothing but your body. But what is that body? It is the parinama of Krishna's energies. It's Krishna's energy that became this material world. Maya adhyakshena prakriti. Under his supervision this world functions. So to think that entirely the living entity has nothing to do with God, like some English poet once wrote, God is in his world and all is well with us. God is in his world and all is well with us. In other words, dunya banane wale. Oh, okay, very good. How many Vaishnava bhajans we can instantly repeat like this? Kahe ko dunya banai. He made it and forgot. That's what people think. God made this world and forgot about it. He has nothing to do with this world. But no, the Sri Vaishnavas go one step further, extreme opposite. They say this entire world is Srimad Narayana's Lila. Nara means human being. Nara means community of human beings. Narayana means the shelter of the community of human beings. Just like body and soul, this universe is the body and Narayana is the soul. Without the soul there can be no body. The truth as examined and presented by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Bheda Bheda Prakasham Sakalam Api Hare Jibera Swarupa Krishner Nityadas Krishner Tatastha Shakti Bheda Bhed Prakash. We are Tatasthas of Krishna. Irrespective of where we came from, we are his marginal potency. We are marginally his potency. We have the choice of either taking shelter of Krishna's internal potency or external potency. We are neither of these potencies. We are marginal potency. We are marginal doesn't mean we are not potency. Therefore, we belong to Krishna. We are Mamaiva Amsha Jiva Loke. Krishna doesn't stop at that. If Krishna said, Mamai Vamsha Jiva Loke, that means we are all one. He says, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Eternally, they are part and parcels. If they are eternally part and parcel, means we can never become Krishna by meditation. It's not possible. And Prabhupada mentions, it is not like Krishna became God by some meditative process. No. He is always God. So to mention that we have nothing to do with God, though we are his part and parcels, is also wrong. To mention that we are God is also wrong. To mention that we are completely different from God is also wrong. Therefore, in an inconceivable way, even Nimbarka talked about Dvaita, Advaita, simultaneously Dvaita and Advaita. But the difference is that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu clearly established that this simultaneous existence of difference and non-difference is achintya. This achintyatva is in one sense the greatest contribution of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the following acharyas. And Srila Jiva Goswami says, I probably quote this in every second lecture, that if you take away the inconceivability of Bhagavan, he will no longer be Bhagavan. He is called Bhagavan only because simultaneously contradictory qualities can exist in him. He is Anoraniyan Mahator Mahiyan. In this world, the tallest person cannot be the shortest person. The elephant cannot be the ant. The elephant contains the word ant, but the elephant is not the ant. The ant is not the elephant. But Krishna can be simultaneously smallest and the greatest. So this simultaneous existence of contradictory qualities in the Lord makes him Bhagavan. And we are his parts and parcels. Like Srila Prabhupada used to say, Baap ka beta, sipahi ka goda, kuch nahi to thoda thoda. So we have a little bit of those qualities. Prabhupada gives the example of the gold mine and the piece of gold. Water in the ocean and the ocean itself and water taken from the ocean. Similarly, we are part and parcels of Krishna. We are not Krishna. To cloud any one of this is illusion. We are eternally part and parcels of Krishna with a superior energy. There is a material energy also, which is but a transformation of the Supreme Lord. Similarly, the living entities are also transformation of the Supreme Lord. But that does not mean that we can become God or that God can become Jiva. God is eternally God. God may choose to appear in a human form. Avajanandi ma modha manushim tanamashritam. The foolish people think when God comes down to the material world, he takes a human form, therefore he becomes human. So therefore, Prabhupada gives the example of how the king comes down to the prison house, but the rules of the prison don't apply to him. Similarly, God comes down to the material world, the rules don't apply to him. But yet he follows the rules to set an example. Yet at the same time he performs superhuman qualities so that he can attract people. He never spoke tattva to anybody except people like Sarvabhauma. To everyone else he just spoke Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So to distribute this knowledge and dispel all the illusion from the Gita, Krishna mentions in the 13th chapter, 8th verse to 12th verse, and this is probably one of my most favorite verses in Bhagavad Gita. There he says towards the end, he says that Adhyatma jnana nityatam tattva jnana adarshanam eta jnanam iti proktam ajnanam yatato anyata. Yatato anyata. Everything other than these pieces of knowledge, 18 to 20 elements that are given in the 13th chapter, 8 to 12th verse. 18 pieces of knowledge are given, right? 18 angas are given. Amanitam, Adambittam, I think there are 18. That is also 18. Huh? 20, there are 20. I keep getting confused. There are 20 items there. And Krishna says that, Eta jnanam iti proktam, ajnanam yatato anyata. All these are declared to be knowledge. And besides this, whatever there may be is ignorance. So to distribute this Gita is to distribute that knowledge. That knowledge which will help people know God, come closer to God, understand they are different from God, and serve him with a full heart. That is why we are getting ready for this Caitanya-caritāmṛta. Like the gopis did Caitanya-caritāmṛta to get Krishna. We distribute the Gita marathon. In the Gita marathon, we distribute Krishna's message in the form of the Gita. We distribute Krishna so that, Prabhupada said, you distribute books all your life, one day you will see that the hand that distributes that book is blue in color. How many hands have you seen blue in color, unless somebody is distributing too many books? Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki, Granthra Shrimad Bhagavatam ki. We can take one question, if possible. Yes. He has a question or Govindanam is the question? क्या प्रश्न है आपका? नहीं है, प्रश्न नहीं है. अच्छा. All of us should distribute books and go back to Godhead. For those of you who don't know the way, Govindam Prabhu claims he has the solution in the form of Back to Godhead magazine and Bhagavad Darshan. Although जो sponsored copies आते हैं उनको वो accept नहीं करते, वो sponsored copy को भी बेचना चाहते हैं. पुस्तक वितरण में बहुत इच्छा है उनको बहुत रुचि है. But I would request all of you to subscribe to Back to Godhead. It is a backbone of the Hare Krishna movement. So we can conclude with one final remark by Prabhuji, because just one remark from you and we'll close because it's 9. Mike's there?
हरे कृष्णा. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. तो प्रभु जी ने बहुत अच्छी व्याख्या की, लेकिन अंग्रेजी में जो है जो जब होती है तो कुछ तो कान में जाती है, कुछ बाहर निकल जाती है. तो यहाँ पर चैतन्य महाप्रभु जो सिद्धांत की स्थापना कर रहे हैं वो अचिंत्य भेदा भेद तत्व में थोड़ा ज़्यादा गहराई है. उतनी गहराई में हम नहीं जाते. हम चैतन्य महाप्रभु कह रहे हैं कि ईश्वर जीव में भेद है, और आप जो है जो अभेद कह रहे हैं, ईश्वर जीव में अभेद कहते हैं, ये बहुत गलत है. तो अब अचिंत्य भेदा भेद तत्व की बात हम नहीं जाएंगे क्योंकि वहाँ तो ज़्यादा गहराई है. तो मतलब सरल तरीके से समझना है कि पिछले श्लोक में चैतन्य महाप्रभु ने कहा कि ईश्वर मायाधीश है, माया के ईश्वर हैं, और जीव जो है माया की वश में है ना. तो इतना बड़ा भेद है, जमीन आसमान का भेद है. जीव में ईश्वर में जमीन आसमान का भेद है, दिन रात का भेद है कि ईश्वर जो है माया के जो है नियंता है, और जो जीव है वो माया के द्वारा नियंत्रित है. तो आप जो है इस प्रकार से ईश्वर जीव में अभेद कैसे कहते हैं, है ना. तो उसी ही दिशा में ये भी प्यार है जिसमें चैतन्य महाप्रभु कहते गीता शास्त्रे जीव रूप शक्ति करी माने, कि गीता शास्त्र में जीव को शक्ति माना है. तो इसका मतलब ये है कि अगर हम और भी तत्व का जो है अध्ययन करें तो जीव तत्व क्या है, तो माया तत्व और जीव तत्व और ईश्वर तत्व. तो ईश्वर जो है कि शक्ति माया भी है और ईश्वर की शक्ति जीव भी है. तो दोनों जीव की शक्तियाँ हैं, और जीव अपने शुद्ध रूप में क्या है कि भगवान के द्वारा, ईश्वर के द्वारा नियंत्रित होता है. माया भी ईश्वर के द्वारा नियंत्रित होती है, जीव भी ईश्वर के द्वारा नियंत्रित होता है. तो दोनों शक्तियां हैं. लेकिन जब जीव शक्ति माया शक्ति को भोगना चाहती है तो माया शक्ति के द्वारा नियंत्रित हो जाती है. अब वो और ज़्यादा नीचे चला गया. जीव जो है भगवान की शक्ति है, और अगर भगवान को जो है अपना नियंता मान ले, भगवान के द्वारा नियंत्रित हो, तो भगवान से जुड़ा रहेगा जीव, है ना. माया भी भगवान के द्वारा नियंत्रित है और जीव भी भगवान के द्वारा नियंत्रित है, और अपने शुद्ध रूप में जीव भी जो है सुखी है और माया तो नियंत्रित है. लेकिन जब जीव शक्ति है लेकिन वो माया शक्ति को नियंत्रित करना चाहती है ना, तो फिर वो माया शक्ति के द्वारा नियंत्रित हो जाती है, और अब जो है भगवान के से दूर हो जाता है जीवात्मा. कि अब जो है भगवान के डायरेक्ट नियंत्रण में नहीं है, बल्कि भगवान की नियंत्रण माया और माया के नियंत्रण में जीव है, और ये कष्टकारक स्थिति है जीव की। तो गीता में जो है जब बताया है कि दोनों प्रकृति हैं, है ना, तो माया भी भगवान की शक्ति है, जीव भी भगवान की शक्ति है, तो ये जो है तत्व ज्ञान यही है जीव का, है ना। तो जीव तत्व जो है मतलब इतना जो है अंतर है जीव तत्व में और ईश्वर तत्व में कि आप कहें कि बिल्कुल उल्टा ही है, बिल्कुल उल्टा है ना। तो जो जीव आत्मा है, तो अगर भगवान की शरण लेता है, हम अगर भगवान की शरण लेते हैं, तो माया शक्ति के नियंत्रण से हम जो है फिर भगवान के डायरेक्ट नियंत्रण में चले जाते हैं। हम जो हरे कृष्ण मंत्र का जाप करते हैं, तो हम क्या कहते हैं कि मुझे माया शक्ति के नियंत्रण से निकालो, अपने नियंत्रण में कर लो, मुझे अपनी सेवा में लगा लो। अब हम माया की सेवा में लगे हैं, तो माया भगवान की सेवा में लगी है और हम माया की सेवा में लगे हैं, ये बहुत कष्टकारक स्थिति है। तो हमारा जो है केवल एकमात्र जो तरीका है वो यही है कि हम भगवान से कहें मुझे अपनी सेवा में लगाओ डायरेक्ट, तो हम माया की सेवा से छूट सकते हैं। लेकिन जीव जो है अगर अपने को स्वतंत्र माने, तो फिर वो बहुत जो है इसका जो है दुर्दशा होती है ना। तो एक श्लोक है ही है कि आरोह्य कृच्छ्रेण परम पदम ददा, अगर मुक्ति के पद में भी अगर वो पहुंच जाए कि वे माया की सेवा से मुक्त हो गया वो, है ना, और अब भगवान की सेवा भी नहीं करना चाहता है, अनादृत विस्मृतंग्रया, ये भगवान के चरणों की सेवा भी नहीं करना चाहता, और माया की सेवा से भी मुक्त हो गया, अपने को मुक्त मान लिया उसने, तो फिर क्या होता है, अनादित विस्मृतंग्रया पतंत हो, तो फिर से माया की सेवा में चला जाएगा। कि भगवान के चरणों की सेवा का आदर नहीं करता, तो माया की सेवा में फिर से चला जाएगा जो मुक्त हो गया था, है ना। क्योंकि जीव का जो है स्वरूप ही है नित्य दास। अब या तो माया के आप दास बने या फिर कृष्ण के नित्य दास बने, लेकिन है तो आप दास, आप जो है ईश्वर नहीं बन सकते। तो चैतन्य महाप्रभु जो है इस बात की स्थापना कर रहे हैं, है ना। तो यहाँ हे न जीव भेद करे, दो प्रकार का पाठ है इसमें, तो प्रभुपाद दूसरे प्रकार का पाठ ले रहे हैं। तो अचिंत्य भेदाभेद तत्व की स्थापना प्रभुपाद करना चाहते हैं, लेकिन अगर हमें थोड़ा कठिनाई होती है तो सीधा सीधा ये है कि हे न जीव अभेद कर ईश्वर सने। यहाँ पर दूसरा पाठ इस तरह से भी हो सकता है कि आप जीव के का जो है ईश्वर के साथ अभेद कैसे कर रहे हैं। तो पिछली बार भी कहा कि आप जीव और ईश्वर में अभेद बोल रहे हैं, यहाँ पर भी आप ईश्वर के साथ अभेद कर रहे हैं, जबकि जीव शक्ति है ईश्वर की, ईश्वर की शक्ति ईश्वर के द्वारा पूरी तरह से नियंत्रित है।
गुरु पूजा टाइम so devotees can go.
तो बस यही जो है मतलब यहाँ पर चैतन्य महाप्रभु इसको खंडन कर रहे हैं कि जीव और ईश्वर में जो है मतलब किसी प्रकार का अभेद अगर मानते हैं तो बहुत अज्ञान है।
जय, थैंक यू वेरी मच प्रभु, थैंक यू वेरी मच। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, ग्रंथराज श्री चैतन्य-चरितामृत की जय, श्रील कृष्णदास कविराज गोस्वामी पाद की जय, निताय निताय गौर सीतानाथ प्रेमानंदे।